Welcome back, adventurers and friends, to Adventures Inward Let's Talk series. To those who are here for the first time, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Just a reminder to hit that like button and be sure to subscribe. It's free. Don't forget to click on the notification bell if you would like to know when I post new videos. Today, we will be talking about when someone displays behaviors that project insecurities without intending to. So get comfy cozy, open your heart, open your mind, and let's get into it. In an environment filled with confident personas, spotting the subtle signs of insecurity can be challenging, right? Believe it or not, many people around you might be battling insecurities without even realizing it. These people aren't trying to seek attention or play the victim card. They are simply unaware of the signals they are sending out. Ever wonder if you're one of them? Well, let's find out. Let's go over some behaviors that could indicate you are projecting insecurities unintentionally. First, you constantly seek validation. One of the most telling signs of projecting insecurity is the constant need for validation. You might find yourself often seeking approval or affirmation from others, even for minor decisions. It's not that you're trying to be needy or annoying. It's just that you are unsure of your own worth and abilities. You may rely on others to make you feel good about yourself because it's hard for you to generate that feeling from within. Does that sound familiar? Well, this constant search for validation can be often misunderstood as attention-seeking behavior, but it's actually a sign of internal insecurity. The truth is that there is a huge difference between occasionally seeking advice and constantly needing someone's approval to feel validated. 2. You are a perfectionist. Perhaps not surprisingly, perfectionism can often be a mask for insecurity. You might find yourself obsessing over every little detail, striving to make everything perfect. Whether it's a work project or a simple task, you spend hours tweaking and adjusting, never quite satisfied with the result. But here's the thing. This striving for perfection comes from the fear of criticism or rejection. Let me give you an example. When I was working as an insurance claim reviewer, I would spend twice as long writing, editing, and confirming my final reports for the medical staff to use in their decision making on a claim because I was worried that any mistake would lead to a legal issue. I later realized this perfectionism wasn't driven by the desire to avoid future unseen complications, but rather by the fear of not being good enough. I knew my reports would never be a factor into a legal issue, since the medical staff or legal consultants would pick up on any oversights I may have made. Unfortunately, we have misinterpreted this constant strive for perfection as diligence or high standards. But at its core, it's an indicator of hidden insecurity. 3. You are overly defensive. According to the classic psychoanalytic theory, being defensive is a subconscious mechanism that shields us from potential threats or criticisms. But when you find yourself getting defensive too often, it can be an indication of underlying insecurity. Did you know that research indicates a strong link between high defensiveness and low self-esteem? Well, that's true. Individuals with lower self-esteem are more likely to react defensively when faced with negative feedback. For example, you might find it difficult to accept feedback or criticism, interpreting it as a personal attack rather than constructive advice. While it's natural to defend yourself when you feel attacked, Being overly defensive can often be perceived as hostility or even stubbornness. So you need to be careful of that. 4. Are you excessively cheerful? Surprisingly, being excessively cheerful can also be a sign of insecurity. You may find yourself putting on a happy facade, always appearing upbeat and positive, even when things aren't going so well. It's as if you are trying to convince others, and perhaps yourself, that everything is perfect. Just admit it. How many times have you noticed that behavior? I know I do it personally quite often. The reason for this simple yet harmful behavior is that you fear that showing any hint of sadness or vulnerability could lead people to judge you or think less of you. Yes, you may not realize it because it works unconsciously, but it does work. Over time, this constant display of cheerfulness becomes exhausting, and even worse, it does not allow for genuine emotional expression. 5. You are always comparing yourself to others. It's a harsh reality that we often measure our worth based on how we stack up against each other. If you often find yourself eyeing others' achievements, appearances, or lifestyles, thinking they outshine your own, it's likely you are viewing your self-worth through a comparative lens. This habit of comparison is more than just noticing differences. In fact, it's a cycle that can lead to feeling of inadequacy. When you constantly contrast your life with someone else's, it tends to magnify your own perceived shortcomings. You start to believe that others are better than you, more successful, more attractive, just more everything. In truth, this endless comparison is not about them. It's about you and your unresolved insecurities. It's about feeling that you're not enough just as you are. 6. You struggle with decision making. Who doesn't have moments of indecision? However, more often than not, people who constantly find it tough to make decisions are insecure. You may hesitate over even the smallest choices, worrying about making the wrong one. It can feel like you're standing at a crossroads, paralyzed by the fear of taking the wrong path. But remember, it's okay. We all make mistakes, and we learn from them. That's how we grow. This struggle isn't about indecisiveness. It's about the fear of failure or disappointment. Simply put, you are afraid of letting yourself or others down. But don't be too hard on yourself. It's important to trust in your ability to make decisions and handle the consequences, whatever they may be. 7. You frequently apologize. We have all been there. You accidentally bump into someone, and the words, "I'm sorry," tumble out before you can even think. When "I'm sorry" becomes a regular part of your vocabulary, used not just for mistakes, but for merely existing, it can be a sign of insecurity. This frequent apologizing often happens subconsciously. You might say sorry for things that don't require an apology, like expressing your opinion, asking a question, or taking up space. It's as if you are constantly trying to preempt any chance of upsetting others or being a burden. This behavior might stem from a deeper feeling of not wanting to impose or a fear of being perceived negatively. However, over-apologizing can send the message that you are not confident in your actions or decisions. It might also suggest that you feel you are always at fault, even when that's far from the truth. 8. You're a people pleaser. Ever find yourself going out of your way to make others happy, even if it means putting your own needs on the back burner? Welcome to the club of people pleasers. You might find it difficult to say no, always agreeing to favors and requests, even when it inconveniences you. But hey, there's a silver lining. Being a people pleaser shows that you are kind-hearted and willing to help others. However, it can also reflect a deeper insecurity, a fear of disappointing others or of not being liked. So while it's great to be generous and accommodating, remember not to lose sight of your own needs and boundaries. After all, it's okay to put yourself first sometimes. 9. You downplay your achievements. If you are constantly downplaying your achievements, brushing off compliments, and underselling your accomplishments, then you are likely projecting insecurity. But here's something I want you to realize. You work hard for your successes, and you should own them. But let me guess what you do instead. Minimizing your successes or attributing them to luck rather than your own skills and efforts. Does that sound like you? Well, this doesn't indicate that you are modest. You just fail to recognize your own worth. 10. You are overly self-conscious. Being overly self-conscious can be one of the most telling signs of projecting insecurity. You might be excessively aware of how you come across to others, constantly worried about what other people think of you. Every action, every word is analyzed, leaving you feeling trapped in your own thoughts and apprehensions. No, you are not being careful or considerate. This behavior demonstrates your deep-seated fear of judgment or rejection. That's why you should remember that your worth isn't determined by others' opinions. You are more than enough just as you are. My final thoughts on this. Embrace confidence. Shed insecurity. Recognizing these behaviors is the first step in the process of becoming a more confident and self-assured you. You just need to understand that these actions, often subconscious, are reflections of deeper insecurities and not intrusive parts of your character. By identifying these patterns, you can begin to address the underlying feelings of inadequacy and start to foster a stronger sense of self-confidence. So, if you have recognized some of these behaviors within yourself, don't worry. You have so much strength and potential within you that is waiting to be unleashed. Just remember, be kind to yourself. Give yourself grace. And always love yourself. Thank you for joining me.